this might be the one video that puts me in jail because I'll be sharing some strategies that will feel illegal because you'll be draining the bank accounts of your ideal client. You'll be making $147,000 in 60 days, all on Instagram, without creating content. That's an exaggeration. I will tell you why. If you are able to stick to the end and not get distracted, not look at the sidebar, if you are able to watch a whole video, you will make money. If not, then this video is not for you. Please do click off because there are only 4 steps that's needed, 4 systems for you to implement to get 145 qualified calls booked per month. This did not happen overnight. He was the standard entrepreneur, burnt out, without clear data, low energy. He was the man that was running unqualified leads onto calls for the sake of getting them onto calls. If they showed, they were the ones with objections, with money objections, finance. They need to think about it. They need to go back and forth with their partner. They didn't have clarity, metrics, and saw decline in revenue all until he knew he had to make a change. He was starting to resent his business. He was starting to hate being inside the business, wanted to get out, step out, and find out what these 4 strategies were going to do. The first thing is a hyper setting team. Second, a profit system that actually generated cash on tap without him. A content engine that was able to consistently produce leads, qualified calls booked. He was able to bring attention and turn it into cash consistently. He was able to have clarity on how to consistently scale the business as well. Problem 1 Ben had. He had the worst setting team out there. He had that guy from India who says he's a virtual assistant but sounds like a chatbot with bad grammar. He needed a hyper setting team. So what we did, fired 2 of the worst performers in there, a guy from India, a guy from Philippines. I'm not saying these countries are the worst countries ever. I'm just saying they were consistently bad performing for him. We hired some of the better setters which were able to consistently book calls, refined his entire DM scripting process for him to turn a cold conversation, someone who didn't know who he was, didn't know what he did, all the way into someone who was not just interested in his product, but someone who was going to actually buy, pay money on the call, give him his card. The main problem, people expect someone sitting in a seat to equal a job done. People expect to hire a setter and mean that they are going to get booked calls. That's not how it works. You need proper management. You need meetings. You need proper setting SOPs as well. How to hire, how to actually make sure that they are managed efficiently and properly, and how to make sure these systems convert for booked calls. Starting a convo isn't enough. Making sure you are staying away from conversation which is situation and problem specific at the beginning, and building rapport so they know they are talking to a real person is important. Or you build sales resistance, qualifying without sounding like you're digging too far, and then finding out what their problem, previous efforts, becoming an authority figure in the DMs by giving them belief breaking lines. If they came to you and all they believed was they needed cardio to lose weight, if they came to you and told you that all they needed to do was eat healthy to lose weight and knew nothing about calories, that's your opportunity to become an authority figure. Making sure there is a gap for you to be able to give them value and qualify further without sounding like a salesperson. Making sure you're able to pitch a call when the right time in the framework is there. You are able to consistently convert and make sure that you're getting 15 calls booked a day, consistent calls closed. Ben sends us updates every day. Make sure we're able to stay on top of his performance. Now, sending messages isn't enough. You need to be able to know where to get those leads, where the attention is for you to be able to send messages, which we'll get to when we get to the content engine. But first, how do we get those messages to turn into profits, cash that you can collect in your bank account? You need a profit system. The most important part of a profit system is making sure that you can consistently scale it. If you are unable to consistently scale a profit system, you do not have a profit system. You have spikes in your revenue, KPIs, metrics, data. So back-end tracking and making sure you aren't building a leaky bucket. So an offer on the back end, which is able to consistently convert for higher ticket leads and to increase the LTV. So you don't have people just coming through your system and leaking right out. You need to be able to be prepared for scalable traffic. The team needs to be prepared. You can't have things like show up rate absolutely killing your business, close rate, and you can't have inconsistent calls booked. You need to be prepped for every possible situation, and the only way you can do that is with KPIs and metrics, knowing how many messages you need to send to book calls, how your setters are performing, because without that, once again, you are assuming a filled seat is a job being done. You are assuming and you are guessing. It's based off of feelings, not data. If you are shooting for $50,000 a month, this is what you would need to do. You would need to, first of all, figure out how you can actually charge roughly $3,000 for an offer that's around 6 months. Now, if you're able to charge $3,000 for 6 months, brilliant. If you're able to charge more, great. If you're not able to charge that much, the volume changes. If you're going for $100,000 a month, multiply by 2. Now, let's say on average, a client pays you $1,000 on a call. We're saying that there's going to be some split pays, some people that can't afford everything for your offer on the call, but you still are confident that they are a good client. With a goal of $50,000 to be collected in a month, we can assume around $35,000 of that is going to be new cash and $15,000 is going to be back-end revenue. The back-end revenue, we create an offer for it to consistently convert. So if we want $35,000 collected in new cash from new clients, we need 35 new clients if we are converting on an average of $1,000. Assume a conservative close rate of 50%, which would mean that you need 70 calls taken. That's our first big number there. When I say taken, they show up for the call. Now, with 70 calls taken and we assume a conservative show rate of 50%, we can assume we need 140 calls booked. Now, to get 140 calls booked, we need to figure out exactly how many messages we need to get sent and have replied to. So for 140 calls booked, let's say 10% of the people who reply to the first message book in a call. That means we need 1,400 first message replies for 140 calls booked. We can assume that 20% of the people are going to reply to your very good first message. So you would need 7,000 messages, outbound or inbound, to have $35,000 in new cash collected. Where are you going to find 7,000 leads to contact? We're going to talk about exactly that in just a second. Now, 7,000 messages a month sounds scary, but it's about 240 messages a day. 240 messages a day is not difficult when you're able to stay on top of setters, when you're able to make sure the KPIs are being hit. And all of that is to generate $50,000 in 1 month, especially when we have a proper back-end system that is not letting our clients leak out. Now, a proper back-end system you can pitch all the time, anytime. Now, there is a priority order as well. Clients about to finish the program, 66% plus. So if it's a 6-month program, that's everyone 4 months plus within the program. You don't want to wait till the end of a program to pitch a resign or another offer. They have already decided to leave by that point. You do not want to wait till the end. That is an expensive mistake. Clients who are about to finish aren't the only ones that you can sell. You can sell anyone within halfway through as well. Old clients, prioritize the bookings of the highest paying and then the split pays. Now, you can consistently make sure they show up for calls, not just on the back end, but also on the front end by making sure you have proper systems after they are booked in, making sure they have a proper messaging sequence when they are booked in, making sure that they also have a proper email sequence once they are booked in. Having all of these systems in place is so important, so you aren't guessing why calls aren't showing. There's so many different reasons, but the main ones we see, Ben had a calendar slot availability problem. He was booking people too far away, 2+ days away. There wasn't enough value in the DMs. People were being overwhelmed, intimidated. There was forms being sent which were hard qualifying with finances, weren't done properly. They weren't even sure where to go on the call. So we implemented a WhatsApp automation and follow-up system to ensure that they showed up for the call. We knew they had homework. We knew they were nurtured. We knew they were going to be buyers and had a proper VSL sequence. So they were able to consistently show up, and we never had to think of a metric problem because of show up. Now, how do you actually get more and more calls booked which close? You need more leads, you need attention. How do you get attention? We have to build a content engine. A content engine is a system that runs without you having to be the face all the time. And if you do have to be the face, it's as removed in terms of time responsibility as possible from you. Ben had no time with all these call bookings, so the content wasn't an issue when we figured out a viral meme content strategy. So we pulled memes from TikTok and we were making sure they were related to the niche and brought in top of funnel inbound traffic. The top of funnel was useless. The top of funnel was useless because it wasn't valuable until they went through a proper nurture sequence inside the DMs. We were able to outbound and send them a VSL, which was able to bring them all the way to the bottom of the funnel. They knew who he was, they knew what the product was. How did we do the proper strategy around generating 27 million views on one video? We were going to have him make very targeted piece of content, but he didn't have time. So what we had to do, we had to pull an hour time block for research. I reviewed all the videos that he found and made sure that they were going to generate as many inbound applications where we could qualify hard in the DMs and make sure we were able to scale outbound in terms of targeted outreach. Targeted meaning he was only speaking to very, very, very qualified prospects using a DM system that was given to setters so they can consistently execute on this as well. If the setters can't execute on a system, the system doesn't work. The setters aren't able to take a system and run it without sounding like a bot. It is a very, very difficult system scale. Not impossible. With many, many followers coming inbound, 4,500 a week, we had to make sure that there was a big part cleaned up. The big part that needed cleaning up for him was clarity. Without clarity, there is no business that can scale. I can go through as many different content strategies as you want. I can go through how you can find all this meme content. I can go through all of these viral content strategies, all of these meme content strategies, the targeted content strategies, the talking head, the high authority posts, all of this stuff I can go through. I'm not going to go through that because it doesn't matter without proper clarity on how to convert that attention. If you want more info on the content strategy, just DM me on IG. Making sure the calls were graded and increasing that show up rate. He can double stack calls because we know a call that is slightly less qualified off of the grading is able to be double stacked because of the data tracking and the accountability. We can avoid pushing back someone who's able to pay $3,000. We refined those DMs to make sure that he was only messaging people who had good profiles and then pulling him out of the business himself. People do this too early. They hire a closer way too early. He needed to because of the volume and the time zones. When you are getting to a point of scale, the business cannot rely on you because you as an entrepreneur realistically aren't able to maintain consistent energy levels, consistent output every single day. You being able to hit 20, 30, 50, 10K months, whatever it is just to spike up if it's not consistent and if it's not scalable. You need proper foundations for you to scale, for you to have a system that allows you to get £10,500 a day from a closer, a system that allows you to take 3 weeks off of calls, 3 weeks off of the business and still hit £50,000 in a single month. If you're able to actually take a step away from your laptop, if you're able to feel the freedom that you deserve from building a business that you put all your time, sweat, energy into, you can look at that business and be proud of what you have created. And there's one secret lever that you need for that to happen. And the secret lever is actually in your mind. Prioritize, focus, know what task to do. You can't go into the next day, sit on your laptop and do what's urgent, what's top of mind, what you feel like doing every day, because that's how you stay stuck. We made sure he knew exactly what task to execute on and had a roadmap going forward, because without it, there was pressure built up and there was energy that was being drained. You only have so much time, you only have so much energy and bandwidth. All of these are assets for the business if you are the business owner, if you are the most valuable person in the business. So we needed to make sure his mindset, his lifestyle, all the goals were aligned with the business. If you're able to see the synergy between your mind and the business, you remove feelings and you optimize for what you actually want. A scalable business that prints money and is able to create impact on greater scales that you can on your own. You want people that you have confidence on. You want people that you have managed to a point that they are able to know what KPIs are needed to be hit for you to be able to take time off, for you to be able to be confident in getting more leads, in getting more calls booked. You need to have a mindset that serves you, that serves the business. If you are able to take full ownership and make sure that you are responsible for the people, responsible for the systems, for the tasks that need to be executed, you will scale. You will have a situation where you elevate the standard of your team. You will elevate the standard of yourself. Now, none of this happens until you take action, until you execute on what's needed to get to your end goal. Work back, track your metrics. These are easy numbers to play with once you have clarity. If you learned anything from the video, let it be this. 1, know your numbers. 2, build systems that run without you. Confidence in your team is key. 3, make sure you prioritize your first 3 hours to focus on the tasks that actually move the business and forget everything else. Let some fires burn. If you need more leads, you focus on the attention systems. If you need more calls booked and you have the leads, you focus on the setting systems, you focus on management, you focus on hiring that next setter. If you need more sales and you have the calls, but you focus on your show rate, your close rate, you do nothing else in those first 3 hours, and I promise you will scale. If you need more one-to-one help on how you can scale your business consistently with the right foundations, schedule a call below or DM me on Azri Biz IG. And if you're still on the climb, watch the other videos, subscribe. This is information that you 100% can implement today.